I'm Jim Kircher. We're going to talk about places with very specific and often harsh climates. One's very far away, one's surprisingly close. You would have to go a long way to experience an Antarctic winter, but not very far at all to find a desert-like climate. It's actually a mini desert, and you can find them here and there in Missouri, but nowadays less and less. We first went to one of them several years ago to tell the story of survival, of a very special place, and of a very special little plant that lives there. It was a warm, sunny morning in May when we came here to Jefferson County, invited by the Nature Conservancy to hike up to a special place, Victoria Glade. Now, you could call just about any clearing in the woods a glade, but for scientists like botanist Doug Ladd, it's a bit more technical.
On this map, all the green would be trees and all the white would be cleared. And that's where the bedrock is so close to the surface that you get this unique natural community we call a glade.
The nonprofit Nature Conservancy buys up land like this all over the world to protect disappearing natural areas and the diversity of plant and animal life. It currently owns about 20,000 acres in Missouri, including prairies and Ozark River environments, and this land. Because these days, that is in the few hundred years since white settlers came and changed the landscape, real glades are a real rarity.
And so see a sharp line and all of a sudden you're in a different world.
Well, you can see, is this the actual rock layer here?
This is the rock layer here, and if you're taking...
We're here to see the spring wildflowers like Indian paintbrush. They'll be gone soon and there will be other colors in the fall, but in between there's not that much to see because the bedrock is so close to the surface this place heats up and becomes almost desert-like, supporting lizards, scorpions, even tarantulas. And the exposure makes winter conditions harsh as well.
This is a tough place to be a plant.
We timed our visit in hopes of seeing the rare plant Fremont's leatherflower in bloom. It's one of the reasons the Nature Conservancy works so hard to protect this particular glade. And as we found out on our first visit here 2 months before, they don't just sit back and watch it grow.
Simple ring head fire, 2 crews starting at a common point up on the north end.
This was 2 months before, in March, the end of winter, and these people came to set Victoria Glade on fire. It's called a prescribed burn, and think of it as an antibiotic, improving health by killing off the things that are making you sick. The invading germs in this case are cedar trees, highly adaptable to the glade environment. Without fire, the glade would become a forest.
They would shade out the sunlight the native grasses would need, and they would just keep the native plants from growing.
But setting fires is tricky business for obvious reasons. There are homes, roads, private property, it's all just over the hill. Before they bring out any flames, they create a fire break. They cut and clear a ring all the way around the property, and if all goes well, the fire will not cross this. These crews know their business.
Most of the folks that you'll see here today have come from all over the country, and they'll work for 6 to 8 weeks in one place and then go somewhere else.
We're wearing Nomex clothing. This is fire resistant. You can see some of the light colored spots or where the flames got a little close. Yeah, I have a pair of Nomex pants in my bag that caught fire up to my calf. I didn't realize I was on fire. I just looked down, oh, I'm on fire, and put it out. It wasn't that big a deal.
Long hours, but it's exciting and get adrenaline going, and so it's fun. Spend some time camping out on the preserves and a good bunch of people, so it's a good job.
As this rain and this frontal system pushes...
Weather is a major factor, and it has to be just right. They keep checking conditions and the forecast right up to the last moment. And then if everything's okay, they begin. They are not only burning the open glade today, but also the leaf cover in the wooded section of the property. And here there are trees that need to be protected as the ground cover burns away. On the glade, though, while some of the big cedars may only be damaged by the fire, the little saplings will not survive, and that's the way they want it. Everybody has a job: setting the fire, controlling the fire, raking, spraying, patrolling, and always maintaining communication, always making sure that the fire is burning only where it's supposed to be. Fire is nothing new here, although it's only in the last 25 years or so that it's come back into fashion. For countless generations before white settlers arrived, Native Americans set fires for a number of reasons, including to encourage plant growth that would attract grazing animals that they would hunt. Fire-resistant plants took over, and that's the kind of glade white settlers found, and that's the kind of glade the Nature Conservancy wants to preserve. The 2007 burn of Victoria Glade went well, and while it may have looked desolate when it was all over, there was actually plenty of life here, just waiting to emerge.
Paying attention to me for once. Well, I wouldn't expect that. So here's a lance-leaf coreopsis, beautiful, or tick seed. Those are yellow stargrass, which is actually a plant related to amaryllis.
I would have missed a lot of this stuff if Doug Ladd wasn't here. He wrote the book on wildflowers. I mean, really, he wrote a field guide. And he'll spot things that most of us would walk right over, like the tiny glade sandwort growing right out of the rocks.
The leaves are reduced to these almost scale-like things as a moisture-conserving adaptation. The trade-off is you don't get to grow much because you don't make a lot of food.
You also might walk right by the real star of Victoria Glade, Fremont's leather flower. It doesn't put on a big show. This single purple bloom is about all you'll get. It's just that you won't get it many other places than Victoria Glade.
In the whole world, the only place you can find Fremont's leather flower are these glades in east central Missouri, a lot of which have been developed and no longer exist, and a small area along the Kansas-Nebraska border, and nowhere else. This is sort of the poster child plant of this sort of glade.
The Nature Conservancy is more interested in restoring and protecting land than owning it, and it will often sell the land at no profit to government park and conservation agencies. The Missouri Department of Conservation, in fact, is doing similar glade restoration on adjoining property. But it's not just invading plant species they have to deal with at Victoria Glade, but invading humans. They'll take rocks for landscaping, dig up plants and roots that can be sold, and then there's the exotic pet trade, which Ladd thinks probably explains the disappearance of the large, colorful collared lizard.
In the late 1990s, you stood here on a day like today, you'd see several.
Right, and then they're big enough to see.
Yeah, they're big guys. And it's not impossible that they're still here, but we haven't seen one for 2 years.
It is truly a different world, a little bit of the desert just 30 miles from St. Louis. Sometimes it's pleasant and pretty, and sometimes it's a place only a lizard could love. But it is one of the only places that is still home to the little plant with the little blue flower. And the Nature Conservancy will do whatever is necessary to keep it that way.